Dr. Yuan Luo, who is the program director of the Clinical Interventions and Diagnostic branch in the Division of Neuroscience at NIA. She's also the program officer in charge of our ADAR program. She oversees the division's technology portfolio, such as using technology for early detection, monitoring, and interventions for the aging brain, MCI, AD, and other dementias. She also oversees some of the branch's career development and fellowship programs and initiatives on plasma biomarkers. She received her BS and MS in biochemistry and toxicology from Peking. Is it Peking, not Beijing University in China? After 1 year UNESCO sponsored training in the Hungary Academy of Sciences, she obtained a PhD in neuroscience from SUNY Upstate Medical School in 1994. She then accepted 2 postdoctoral fellowships at MIT and Harvard. And then prior to joining NIH in 2010, Dr. Luo spent 10 years as an NIH-funded principal investigator and an associate professor at the University of Southern Mississippi and the University of Maryland in the School of Pharmacy. She's had a path. Her laboratory research interest was on neuroprotection in relating to aging and Alzheimer's disease using animal models in human study. She has supervised more than a dozen PhD students and postdoctoral fellows and authored or co-authored over 50 research articles and book chapters. So she comes to us with great background. And now, please, Dr. Luo.
Thank you, Laura. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you for the introduction, and thank you for organizing this summit. I'm so impressed with the program, with the speakers and the breakout rooms. And most of all, I'm really touched by Marishka's talk. It's hard to talk after her. She's so articulate, she's growing so shining. One thing I want to add is it's also prepared mind. It's not just opportunity. It's because of retirement or something. She, in the early stage, when she did the undergraduate research in my laboratory, she shined by, I noticed she has such a writing skills. Her lab notes was so stands out. So, and she developed, I'm so proud of her. I will never get her high position, her current position, which I liked. Okay, I'm program officer at NIA. And I'll talk about the NIA funding opportunities and our goals. So our job is to help the applicants to find the right program announcements and also to write good grants. First, I will introduce as a new program officer in R25, some of the awardees, and I'll introduce for the new programs NIA funded. And I will talk about the national plan to address ADIADRD. By now, I hope you know what's ADIADRD, which is very similar to ADAR. I often confuse. So it's Alzheimer's disease and related dementias, and the goal and the funding. And I will talk about NIA research priorities, and our goal towards precision medicine in AD and ADRD, and finally, funding opportunities for this audience. Yesterday, Dr. Elliott introduced you all the programs, the R25 programs. I will not mention, but I will introduce the 3 very recent programs, which is University of Alabama, Birmingham, and funded, led by PI Dr. Mona Font. Their program is called UAB Ramp Up. So it stands for UAB Research in Aging through Mentorship and Practice undergraduate program. So they focus not only the students and also the communities. And next one, we're going to hear from the PI, China McElligott. Their program is have a cool name too, NIA. That stands for Neurocognitive Aging and Analytical Research Education. So they have BD3, Big Data Discovery and Diversity through Research Education Partnership. We're going to hear her talk very soon. And another one, maybe you are familiar with the name of the institute, McGee Women Research Institute Foundation. That's their second program. And this one focuses on issues with Native Americans. And it's a collaboration with PI, Dr. Jerry Shelton, and from Pittsburgh, and also from the University of Minnesota. So now I'll switch to the ADRD. This is a picture, if you haven't seen it, this is the very first patient diagnosed by Dr. Alzheimer. That was more than 120 years ago. We still do not have cure, but we know a lot more. The devastating of this disease is it's dementia, it's a loss of personality, loss of memory, cannot find a way home, and decline in activity of daily living. And it's associated with age. By aging, we are at a high risk factors. You can see by aging, 40% by among 85-year-old population. When I was a faculty and we do AD research, I have to take students look for the patient to have firsthand experience. And suddenly, few years later, my mother has the diagnosis with Alzheimer's disease. So I witnessed the suffer of the person, loss of mind, and the suffer burden of the caregivers around her. So with the population, aging population, it's predicted by 2050, there will be 14 million Americans with Alzheimer's disease if we do nothing. And that causes big socioeconomic problems. Annual cost is at $200 billion a year. But science can help. With the promising scientific discoveries, we see deaths due to other diseases are decreased, including the heart, including stroke, including cancer, HIVs. However, Alzheimer's disease and Parkinson's disease, deaths due to this disease still rising, going up. Because of these reasons, national plan to address AD has put into law in 2011 under President Obama. The goal, ambitious goal, is to prevent and treatment disease by 2025. So this is a very critical time. We are already at 2022 almost. So in the past 10 years, we received increased funding to put effort on this research. This data already outdated from yesterday. Carenzo told us it's a 4 billion by 2022. Mostly it's funded to mechanisms, fund to diagnostic biomarkers, and unfunded to a drug discoveries called translational research from drug discovery to clinical trials. So because of this challenge, we also recruit new workforce. Among those people received money for research, 1/4 of them are new investigators. That's their first grant. The first grant they get into this field. And 1/3 of them are investigators. They never done research in AD, and they switch their field to AD research. We also provide more training opportunities. You heard yesterday about these letters, Career Development Fellowship, and the institutional, those are individual, and national institutional R25 as is ADAR and T32 institutional. And we also support specific AD supplement for PIs who is not AD researchers. So they have other funding, they can be mathematicians, engineer, and they can help for ADs, then we give supplements. So what do we found in parity research? We want to focus on integrate from basic research to clinical study. So it be translational. And we want to find the biomarkers, early detections, so we can prevent. We also want to recruit in human studies diverse populations and also the diverse targets. Currently, you heard some drugs, amyloid, but we want to target on multiple targets. And data sharing is very important. That's why NIH have this ability to provide a resource for data sharing to ensure there's a rigor and reproducibilities. Understanding the basic science will help us to the therapeutics and the diagnosis. So although I said aging is a big risk factors, but that's not alone, also genetic factors, also environmental factors. Even we discovered many genes, but if you carry the genes, doesn't mean you will have the disease. There are other factors accounts for this disease. That's why it's a multi-factor disease. And from understanding of all those, we already know those causes synaptic loss, neural loss, and also vascular damage and inflammations. And the proteins, including those amyloid, very certain, and the tau protein, synuclein, and the TDP-43. So understanding those counts for MCI, mild cognitive impairment, will help us to find biomarkers to diagnose for early diagnosis and therapeutics. So we have the infrastructure. NIA have supported a center which spread all the nations. We have 33 centers. You may associate with some of them or collaborate with them. These centers provided resources for human study, for neuropathology, imaging data, and biomarkers, and so on, which shared with the whole the community, scientific communities. We also provide educational services, patients and families. We also ensure that inclusion is diverse populations. Another center we support is been a while is ADNI, which is Alzheimer's Disease Neuroimaging Institute. So this contains 57 states, including Canada. And this contains human data, including hundreds of normal brain, hundreds of MCI, mild cognitive impairment, and hundreds of AD patients. And those, for example, take an example, this amyloid scanning through PET. PET scan is a live person, right? It's not the slices, it's a real live patient. You can see in the normal subject, the more red color shows more amyloid deposit, and that's correlated with dementia severity. So this is a control as your mild cognitive impairment stage 1 to 3 to AD, you have more deposit in the brain. So by time versus severity, this is the symptoms. You see the cognitive decline, and the biomarkers can tell before the symptoms occurs, such as this PET scan, but this is very expensive. Not every university or clinical can afford such instruments. And we have other biomarkers by cerebral fluid biomarkers, which include a big needle into your spinal cord, which is invasive. And we also more recently developed blood biomarkers, but none of them, the blood biomarker is still under development. So I want to introduce you one is I'm managing is a digital technology. It's a digital technology we hope can serve as a digital biomarkers because everybody uses a phone, uses devices, Fitbit, right? Other devices, and those can capture a lot of neurological behaviors, can capture your heart rate, your activities, your blood, maybe not blood pressure, but they're devices for blood pressures, for your heart rate, and other, your movements, your eye movement, your body movement, and so on and so on. So all together, this can extract as a dementia score, okay? And hopefully this can give a individualized data. Why this is better? Because most of the MCI, more than half of the MCI and AD patients are not diagnosed, because if they don't have symptoms, they don't go to the hospital, they do not know, and they don't want to know some of them. So this will be passively captured by using the iPhone and using some devices. And most of all, if you heard about Dr. Eric Topol, who is a very provocative digital medicine, and almost all worldwide, there's a one-to-one, everybody have a smartphone. And in average, there are 7 devices for each person. So with this large scale, we can capture a lot of data, and analyze this data may provide great input to the biomarkers. So in terms of finding the treatments, this is our pipeline from bench to bedside. It's a long procedure, but we provide such infrastructure by funding scientists through basic research and identify the early drugs through bioinformatics, computational screening. And then in the animal models, we heard from yesterday, at least Dr. Armstrong, the fly, we heard Marshall Brown talking about the C. elegans and mice, and those will be used, some use the transgenic mice, right, more humanized. Then we get the IND approval. After the FDA approval, you go through the clinical trials. So this is a long procedure, but we do have very promising progress. We are supporting 230 clinical trials, including non-drug trials such as exercise, diet, and those are very informative. And then we also provide data and tissue repositories that share to the public. So this translational study is still lack of expertise. Therefore, this last funding opportunities I'm talking about is specific for this area and for the audience here to promote diversity workforce in data science and in drug discovery and in AD research. So we have pre-doc, and postdoc fellowships, which provides stipend, tuition, and research money. And the next deadline is December 8th. If you miss next year, you still have opportunity. And then we also have pathway for independence, which means the senior postdoc get this grant. They can carry to 3-year support to an institution, obtain a faculty position, and NIA provides the first 3 years salary. So that's next year's due date. So we encourage you to ask good questions, big questions, and put into ideas, and then search literatures, analyze hypotheses, and then hypothesize and write your proposals. We would like to see your proposal come to us, and please stay informed and connected by looking at our recent released new concept. Means there's a new research area need to be addressed, such as one of them I mentioned, digital biomarkers, or general funding opportunities, and ADRD funding opportunities called the FOA funding opportunity announcement. And also we have subscribed our NIA blogs, which renews every 2 weeks. Thank you.
Very much. And we've heard a lot about grants, and